Okay, so we got this mounting bracket with the USB 3.0 header in there, so that's going to look pretty nice right above the DVD drive, so it's nice and convenient. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put our hard drives in, and as we mentioned earlier, we're going to be using 2 hard drives, and here they are. Even though they look identical, these are called 3.5-inch internal hard drives, and they look identical pretty much, same thickness, same size. One of them is a 1 terabyte, the other is a 2 terabyte drive. One thing I always do when I'm putting multiple hard drives in a computer, which is almost always, is I label them, because even though you can look at the label right here, 1 terabyte, and this is the Seagate one, and this is a Samsung hard drive, another good manufacturer. Right here, the product name with Samsung's, the ST2, tells you it's a 2 terabyte drive. Once you mount these in the computer, they're going to be very hard to read these labels. And so what I always do is on the end where the plugs go, I label them. So this is my 1 terabyte boot drive. Oh, I put the right labels on the wrong hard drives. We're going to have to fix that. Let me see if I can get these off real quickly without making you wait too long. Okay. I'm glad I double checked those. So that's the 2 terabyte right there. Yep. And that's the 1 terabyte. And I just cut up some little labels I got from Office Depot and wrote on them with a magic marker. Right now we're just going to mount these hard drives, but I wanted to show you what we're going to do with these 2 connectors when we get them in there. Older hard drives are different, but these are modern hard drives, and they have 2 plugs that we're going to have to hook up later on. One plug is this cable that is what connects the hard drive to the motherboard. And as you see, this little plug is shaped like an L. Right here, it's a long line and then a little key on the end to make it into an L. All you have to do is line up this cable so that the L fits on there and press it on until it clicks. So some cables click, some cables don't click. And then you hook the other end into the motherboard. We're going to be doing that later though. The other one is the power connector. And let me find one of these power connectors over here so you can see what it looks like. Okay, here's one. I don't know if you can zoom into that. That's also shaped like an L, except it's a longer L. And so these are the kinds of power connectors that we're going to put on the other connector on the left side. And you just wiggle that on like that. So we're going to have one right there and one right there. But we're going to hook these up after we mount them. Otherwise it's more of a pain to do. So let me show you how we're going to mount these hard drives. So on the bottom end of this case, there are 2 fans that are going to blow air over the hard drives to keep them cool, because these spin really fast. These are both 7200 RPM hard drives. Some are faster, but they generate a lot of heat and they last longer if you keep them cool. So you want to take these plugs and face them toward the motherboard. And basically what you do is we're going to slide them in here into one of these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bays. I'm going to put these toward the bottom here. That'll make it easier to add newer ones on top later on. So I'm going to mount these toward the bottom. You can just slide them in here like that. And then what you're going to try to do is line up these screw holes. Can you zoom in there and see that? You can see when these screw holes that are shiny pass through these little 2 holes right here. Now in this case, it came with all these nice thumb screws, so we don't need a screwdriver to mount these hard drives. You just take 4 of these thumb screws, 2 on each side, and you put them in the hole and tighten them up. Now I always go through and put them in there very loosely the first time around, and then I go back and tighten them up. It's always helpful to have a little bit of wiggle room until you get all 4 screws started. Okay. And since these are some thumb screws, they're very easy to work with. And then we're going to do exactly the same thing with the 2 terabyte. Now if you're only going to put 2 hard drives in here, you might want to space them out. That gives you a little bit more room for them to get cool, because I will end up probably filling up at least 4 or 5 in here at some point. I'll stack these closer to each other, but they'll be kept cool by these fans. And in this case, even when you put them right on top of each other, they leave about a 3/4 of an inch gap there. So that's pretty good. So I'll put in the other 4 screws here and tighten these up, and then we'll come back for the next step.